All right, hello everybody. This is Dr. Phil Dieter back again for another episode of CalChiro Live. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. I understand I'm a little glitchy today. I'm having some internet troubles here in sunny San Jose, California. So I'm going to let our guests do all the talking anyways today, and won't interrupt them. So just wanted to remind you, in a few short weeks, we have our fall conference coming up. Hopefully Tiffany has the QR code for that. She can bring it up. But I wanted to bring you today's guest in short order because just to give you a little taste of what's coming your way. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, the room block is sold out. So there are plenty of hotels around the property. It is Disneyland, for God's sake. If you need help finding a room or a place, you can always reach out to me. But without further delay, I want to bring on Dr. Dan Murphy, today's guest. There he is. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Hi, Phil.
Good. Thank you so much for being on here. I really appreciate it. I know you're one of the most sought after, coveted individuals in the chiropractic profession. I'm so excited to have you on as our keynote speaker. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about what you are going to be sharing with us at the conference, but then I do have a few other questions for you. So I don't know, is there anything you want to introduce yourself with?
No.
Okay, good. Well, let's talk a little bit then about the mitochondrial health conversation that we're going to be having at the fall conference, and you can start breaking it down for us.
So, hello, everyone, audience. So I get to speak at the convention at Disneyland, and, the family's coming, at least for the one day. And Michelle will be in New York. Michelle sees most of the patients in the office now. I finished the notes for this class, Phil, and whoever's listening, last night. I'm looking at them right now on a different screen, 94 pages. I guess I'm working for just under 2 hours, 94 pages of some of, I think, the greatest stuff in chiropractic. Of course, I just did the wave a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that was the greatest thing when I did that. And last week was the Nebraska convention. I got to do 12 hours. This week it's Wisconsin. So we're really, it's
working.
busy as heck. The class I get to do is on the mitochondria.
Okay.
And the mitochondria's got a lot of chiropractic application. And the biggest thing is the mitochondria make the energy of life, but the delivery system of the substrates to make the energy is the vascular system controlled by the nervous system.
Right.
Now, that was my wave talk a year ago. So not just a couple weeks ago, but a year ago. My talk was on the mitochondria and how it's related to chiropractic care. I'm largely going to mostly just do the mitochondria stuff. But then I thought for a chiropractic application, I would then move to the 2021 Nobel Prize. Now, the 2021 Nobel Prize is I think one of the biggest secrets in chiropractic. Chiropractors don't understand, for the most part, that the way we think, the way we practice was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2021. And so that was my 2022 wave talk. Nobels come out in October. So the following summer, I did the Nobel Prize. And it's interesting, the Nobel Prize dovetails around the mitochondria and mechanical-based care. So kind of integrating those together, I thought would be a real good kind of introduction to some really awesome stuff. And then finishing by dovetailing it into chiropractic. I mean, specifically the way we think and the way we practice and the studies that would support it. Like I say, me fooling around yesterday, Michelle said, get something ready. I spent about 8 hours to put together the 94 pages. They're really, really good. So anyone that will show up, I mean, just because your internet's a little bit off, I get to just review what the mitochondria is and how it works and how it functions. I get to give the history. The history is, who discovered the mitochondria? And what we don't realize is that the guy that discovered the mitochondria got the Nobel Prize for cancer.
Okay.
And we kind of look at his stuff and how it works. And I know that you and I went to the same high school. When I was in high school, when I was a junior, I was 17, my 44-year-old mom was diagnosed with cancer. Her prognosis was really grim. And she went alternative, and she followed the writings and the teaching of the guy that got the Nobel Prize, same guy that discovered the mitochondria, and how the mitochondria is kind of interfaced into human physiology, particularly as related to cancer. So I get to show you guys some of those studies. I mean, they're really fascinating. And, that was, the Nobel Prize was 1931. If you dovetail that and take it all the way up to modern times, a lot of the audience understand Casey Means, the Stanford physician who's currently in the running to be head of the National Institutes of Health.
Well, that's right.
Casey Means, her book from last year called Good Energy, and her brother, who's the co-author, and the podcasts and things that she's doing, it's very, very supportive of the whole thing. Because good energy, where does energy come from? It comes from the mitochondria. So when you look at her cascade of good and ill health, one of the trifecta, one of the legs of that stool is mitochondrial physiology. She calls it mitochondrial dysfunction. If the mitochondria become dysfunctional, then your health becomes dysfunctional. So I get to go all the way back to 1931 when it was discovered, all the way back up to Casey Means, and filling a lot of holes of people in between, and just sort of running that. And then even a lot of chiropractors don't know that a month ago, the lead article in Scientific American was on the mitochondria. And so you find kind of the most recent impactful things in science centering around the mitochondria, not so much science, but healthcare science, centering around the mitochondria. And so I'm going to show you, like the article in Scientific American says, what's the best diet for mitochondrial health? And you realize they're talking about the innate diet, the same stuff that chiropractors kind of talk about to their patients, etc. But to see that in not the current, but a month ago, current issue of Scientific American, that's really awesome stuff. But then without rudeness or ill intent, I have a corporate sponsor. So the way that I'm working for you guys, because I don't always have corporate sponsors, but I do. And then, of course, when you have a corporate sponsor, you kind of have to angle stuff so that you make the corporate sponsor happy. Sure. Like I just did the Nebraska convention, no corporort sponsor. They paid me straight off. They go, Murphy, do whatever you want to do. I did Parker earlier this year. They go, no corporate sponsor, just do whatever you think is best. I worked on campus in Bellevue at the Life West new campus. No corporate sponsor. Say, we don't want a corporate sponsor. We want you to do the best stuff. In contrast, when I'm working for you, I have a corporate sponsor.
Right.
The corporate sponsor, Urconia, therefore, I chose the mitochondria because lasers work at the level of the mitochondria. So what I've done is I put together what I think is some of the most awesome stuff on how lasers work as related to mitochondrial health and physiology. I'm going to list about, 10 things that will influence mitochondrial health and physiology. Right. One will be the laser, hoping enough to that people are using these things kind of understand their value and how they can help clinically, but just kind of putting that together in understanding about the electromagnetic spectrum. I know it pretty well. It's a big part of our clinical practice. We are hardcore chiropractors. It's interesting. We consider ourselves straight, but yet we use lasers.
Sure.
We don't actually sell supplements, but we recommend supplements. So people kind of, saying, why would you need this or that or whatever? Just kind of I get to put a little bit of that together, showing about how lasers work, but it will be how lasers work as related to mitochondrial health and mitochondrial physiology. And so then I dive right into the Nobel Prize. You start wondering who started the mitochondria stuff? Who started the laser stuff? It's interesting. It's all started by the same guy. And it's a guy that everyone knows, Albert Einstein. And so I put together a bunch of studies to review Albert Einstein. And it's actually Einstein's paper that he wrote in 1905. And this is this is when Einstein was at his peak. He didn't die until 1955, but
Yeah.
he wrote 3 papers in 1905, and this is one of them, and it's on quantum theory. And so just understanding how this works just in physics, how it works in biology, and of course, Einstein and crew, because there's a bunch of these really brainiac German theoretical physicists. So they're an awful lot like Sheldon and Leonard on The Big Bang Theory. And they're the smartest people on the planet, yet they look down their nose at biologists. They don't consider biology to be an actual science. And so that's why Amy on the show has a problem because of she's a PhD biologist. But when Einstein starts to realize something is happening when we use light in a certain way, and he quickly acknowledges he's starting to look at photosynthesis. And so he goes, things are happening, but we don't know enough biology to actually understand it. So I actually put into the notes a copy of the letter that he wrote to the biologist to bring a biologist into the system and under their wing to figure out what these things are really going on. Well, what's interesting is that biologist is the guy that got the 1931 Nobel Prize for cancer. And so you start looking, he's the guy that discovered the mitochondria. So he's dealing with Einstein and these guys to figure out what are we doing here. He says, well, they figured out it's changing the production of energy. And if you change the production of energy in the biological system, you have more energy to express your genes. You get better expression of your genome. And then all of your pumps work better, and everything tends to work better if you can up the adenosine triphosphate. Well, what people don't know, and it won't be much of what I do with you all because I only have 2 hours with you. And I thought, I don't even know if I'll be able to cut the 94 pages that I put together. But you start realizing there are now studies, 2 of them that I'm aware of, where they injected human beings with radioactive glucose. Now that's important because you classically make energy from glucose. So if you put a radioactive tag onto glucose and you look at it with PET scans, you can watch the conversion of glucose into ATP. And you can do this pre and post adjusting and come up with theoretical, academic, biological plausibility explanations for why chiropractic works. And you realize chiropractic works because it inhibits sympathetic tone. When you inhibit sympathetic tone, you get vasodilation. When you get vasodilation, you get improved delivery of oxygen, glucose, ketones, vitamins, minerals, and everything else you need to make ATP. And that, again, was my wave talk a year ago, just showing those studies and kind of doing it. So it's pretty exciting stuff, when you get a chance to look at all that. But just, running through the Albert Einstein, and then the thing that made me fall off the chair, literally just fell right off the chair, is when you start to look at the Nobel Prize 1921, and you start pulling the studies and reading the studies, and all of a sudden they start to reference chiropractors. They reference chiropractic papers, and the chiropractic authors are graduates of Life Chiropractic College West. Wow. And they're getting these studies published in PubMed. And so just kind of understanding what the influence and the range of things that you pretty much don't hear of. When I got to speak for the Italians a year ago, exactly 1 year ago, the Italians celebrated their 50-year legalization of chiropractic in the country of Italy. Awesome. And they asked me to be the speaker. And just because it's expensive to get speakers over there, I ended up being their only speaker. So I got to do the entire thing. I put together, I thought, my finest work, 529 pages.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just rolling through those darn things. But it's amazing. This was last year, 2024. And as far as I can tell, not one of them knew that the way we think and practice won the 2021 Nobel Prize. So kind of integrating all of this stuff and showing the players, and then showing how the Nobel Prize, when you look at these papers, how they mention the mitochondria, how the mitochondria is a key player. And then the things that we do chiropractically that influence the mitochondria, which we do whether we know it or not, we do it all day long, every day as clinical chiropractors. So I'm going to try to integrate a bunch of stuff. Of course, mechanical-based care, the way that most chiropractors think and practice, but then adjuncts to chiropractic about diet and nutrition and some modalities, and then even weirder things like I didn't get to hear Mindy Pell's at the Wave,
It
but
was awesome.
yeah, in a prior
Oh,
Wave, she just released Fast Like a Girl,
yeah.
and so
It was a great presentation. I really
yeah,
loved it.
yeah, I didn't get a chance because I had another gig. I had to go somewhere else, but just kind of integrating, fasting and the cold water plunge and, just all these things that different health gurus of this era say we should be doing, and
Sure.
figuring out how they all are linked, physiologically linked. And so that's kind of my job, is to show you the physiological links. And for
I love
those,
it.
Phil asked if I was going to introduce myself. Dan Murphy. I'm a chiropractor. Just like anyone that's listening to this, I'm a chiropractor. This is my 47th year. I went to Western States. I am part-time faculty at Life Chiropractic College West. That is not the only reason that I know president of the association, Phil Dieter. For many years, Phil's father, Carl, was the chairman of the board of Life
Yes.
Chiropractic College West. So I knew Carl before I ever met Phil.
Dr. Kevorkian keeps calling me Carl. Dr. Kevorkian can't stop calling me Carl, but
Sorry. I met Phil when he went through the LifeWest program. So I've had him. And are you still faculty out there?
I am. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I took your class over 20 years ago now, but I've seen you speak multiple dozens of times. I continue to learn more and more from you all the time. Like you just said, that presentation that you did the other day that you'll be reflecting on was tremendous, and you've given me some great book recommendations. And, one of the things that's come up for me in working with new graduates and new practitioners is just this lack of confidence and certainty that they have in what they do. And I keep telling them, you got to go back to the basics. You got to learn your histopathology. You got to learn your kinesiopathology, your myopath, like all those those Lance's 5 components of subluxations. And I mean, I would love to hear what you think is important in terms of why it's important to come to seminars, why it's important to keep learning and that kind of thing, because I think that's what it goes back to, is you got to be able to have your game tight. And whenever I'm around you, my game gets tighter. I learn more. I expand my knowledge so that when I go into any room, I feel like I have the knowledge. I can have the resources to defend, stand up for chiropractic, represent the chiropractic profession, whether I'm talking to legislators or, the PTA folks. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that a little bit too.
When you listed your list, there is a common denominator. And that common denominator is the center core of chiropractic orthopedics.
Right.
If you go through the orthopedic programs and get board certified, which I am in orthopedics, orthopedic chiropractic is really two things, and kind of just one, but the two main things are inflammation alters the thresholds of the nociceptive afferent system.
Okay.
If you look at the Adams study, 93%, this is a non-chiropractic assessment of chiropractic. Their conclusion is 93% of the people that choose to go to chiropractors do so because of spine pain. Right. And then they find benefits in almost all facets of their health, but they initially come in because of spine pain. And that the number one reason for spine pain is the accumulation of inflammatory chemicals. There's the eicosanoids, there's the cytokines, and how we will interface with that. My Wave talk just a couple of weeks ago on the macrophage makes the anti-inflammatory cytokines. So figuring out how we can influence that. But then the other thing, the resolution of inflammation is fibrosis. That you get a bunch of fibrotic gunk. You can get it in the tissues, in the muscles, and the nerves. And the nerve, they call it neuropathic pain. You can get in the muscle. And that the issue with fibrosis in orthopedic training, they call it the fibrosis of repair, is that fibrotic stuff is aberrant mechanical function. And that it is proven, it's not even conjecture, it's proven that controlled forces delivered in specific lines of drive can remodel the fibrotic stuff, making it more normal, and in so doing, improving the quality of the proprioceptive input. And they've known since 1965, it is the quality of the proprioceptive input that controls the gate to pain, the pain gate, Mel's and Wall's 1965 gate theory of pain. So kind of figuring out this stuff, I've done, I think now 37 PI trials where I had to go and talk. I talk anywhere and everywhere. I mean, I'll talk to Rotary, Seroptimus, PT, like you said, I'll talk to just about anyone. But I've also found I've done about 80 malpractice cases now, where I've had opportunity to actually talk about chiropractic and really what it is. When I did Parker earlier this year, in a way, I thought I have the potential to get tarred and feathered, because I think that a lot of what chiropractors spit out is dogma. It's a belief in stuff that has no evidence. And so once you look deeper into the evidence, which is what I did at Parker this year, it's amazing how many people come up and say, "Oh, OMG, man, I never even thought that way." So which makes me think there's some sort of glitch in our education, that we're still hanging on to some things that are dogmatic, and we are weak in things that I think are actually better explanation for not only why we do what we do, but to explain the clinical benefit of what we do and why we're getting, the outcomes that we get. And so I get to integrate at least a little bit of that into my talk. If there's anything I'm not happy about, and I said the wave I told you, is that my talk is limited to just under 2 hours.
You told me.
And that's hard, because it's usually, for anyone that listens to me, which I know is a lot of people, they listen to me, my warm-up is 2 hours. I just goof off for 2 hours. I just pull stuff out. I say, this is what this paper said, this paper, this book, this is all in the last week. And how
I have to keep you targeted.
And then I jump into class, usually on the third hour.
Yeah.
I have to try to figure out, don't do that, Murphy.
Especially if Michelle's not going to be there, somebody's going to have to be responsible for keeping.
I know it's going to fall to you. You're going to have to keep on track.
I'm up to the task. I'm ready. I'll start preparing.
You're the man. Thank you.
Well, we got to give away some money here today too, or try to give away some money. But I got to say, I really appreciate you coming on to share with us. There's always so much to learn from you. I think the learning and the information that you provide just helps us be better chiropractors, more equipped to go into any arena and represent and stand up for ourselves in ways that we never could before. I've always heard throughout my life, there's no replacement for being in the room, but I'm really starting to resonate with that, because the networking opportunities, the opportunities to learn and grow and build relationships with people like yourself, I think is irreplaceable. So I really appreciate you being able to come join us, even if it's only 2 hours. I'll try to get you some more time in districts or something like that. So.
Can I do a teaser?
Okay, yes, let's do it.
For the audience, this is the tease, is that the notes I put together, they are second to none. They are so awesome. 94 pages. They might go up a little. I thought it came into my dream to add another 1 or 2 pages in. But for anyone that shows up, they will have access to the notes. It is not PowerPoint. It's a PDF, so you can see the articles. Your note-taking will be minimum. It is, I think, some of the greatest stuff. And for those that attend, they, of course, have full access to the presentation. So as I roll through mine, you guys will have access. I don't know totally how.
That's worth the price of admission right there.
The notes, you can, really look at some of the coolest and most unique and awesome stuff in chiropractic when I'm down there with y'all.
Well, that's worth the price of admission right there. Will you tell everybody how they connect with you? Because I know you have your research service and those kind of things too. I'd love people to know more about that, just to plug your own stuff.
Thanks, Phil. For 25 years, I've done an article review service. I do an article a week, and it's just the stuff that I think, the stuff that I want to know, the stuff that our patients want to know. It's innate thinking. It's chiropractic care. It's things that I think everyone in chiropractic should know about. And so 52 articles a year for 25 years. And I'm already did this. So this week I'll post number 40 for this year. So I'm ahead of the game, and some really interesting stuff. And Michelle proves it, because she's a chiropractor. She's a Logan grad. And then our youngest daughter proves that she could edit anything. She is that good. And when she looks, she goes, "Dad, for a layperson," because she's a number cruncher. She's not a biologist. She goes, "These studies are priceless." This is stuff I found. So if anybody's so interested, you just go to my webpage, danmurphydc.com, and you can sign up. I charge for it. I charge $120 a year, and you can get the archives if you want. But basically, it's $2 a study, something like that. And I sum them up. I try to dumb them down, sum them up so that people can use them for the patients. That's what I try to do.
It's amazing how you consume information, and if people don't like reading research, his research review will be so helpful for you in getting your game together and being able to, like I said, represent yourself as an educated professional. So I thank you so much. We're going to try to give away some money. Remember, Urconia is sponsoring him. I love Penny. I love Urconia. They've been such gracious supporters of our industry, of our association. You should check out their booth while you're there, or check out their website. Maybe we can put up Urconia's information in the chat so that people can scan that. But let's bring up the wheel and try to give away a little bit of money today. Can you hang tight for just a few minutes, Doc, while we try to?
Yeah, I want to see what you're doing. I want to see what you're doing. Yeah.
So this is my thought flash that I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about how could I get people to consume information and hear more about what we're doing, because I'm trying to share with them our events like the fall conference. Everybody told me they don't know what's going on with CalChiro, so here I am showing them everybody I can what's going on with CalChiro on a weekly basis. So make sure you like and subscribe, please, to the channel. That's how you'll get notified that we're going live. And then, of course, make sure you set your notifications. You'll get a text message if we have your phone number on file. We have to have your mobile number, not your office number. So update that with Tiffany if you can. We're going to try to give away $300 this week. We had a winner last week. She won, I think, $800 or maybe $700. So that was a lot of fun. But let's do our first name, Doc. Darcy Kendrick, you are our first winner. Let's see if you're here to collect your prize. Remember, you have to be a member. You have to be on the broadcast, and you have to tell us you're here in the chat within the 30 seconds that the countdown is going on, and you will win the prize. I believe we had a person named Barbara, or Dr. Barbara Weldon. She was a two-time winner, and that created a little havoc because everybody's like, oh, how come don't people get their name eliminated after they won? Well, if I eliminate their name, then they're not going to come back and watch anymore. So I'm trying to bribe people to come watch, not that we need them to bribe them to watch you kind of thing. So they should be watching you. It's unbelievable that you've been able to do this for me. I really appreciate it. So I don't see Darcy in the chat. I know I always have to wait for our delay just a little bit before we spin the second name. And thank you. I got Marissa, the Chiro plug here, telling me that we did name number 1. But I think we're ready for name number 2. Let's see if we can. Patricia Cortez. I know her. Patricia Cortez, you are the winner of $300 today. If you are on the broadcast, Patricia Cortez, I hope you are with us today and here to collect your money. You have 30 seconds to come and collect your prize. It's been kind of fun. We've been having a good time with it. We've got pretty consistent viewers. I'd love to see people share with their colleagues and friends in the profession, that we're doing these kind of things and that we're having these kind of events. And that's always, the biggest key to any association is growing our membership, growing our political action committee, because those are the things that help us reach out to legislators and stand up for chiropractic in the Capitol. I can tell you, I'm sure you know all the stories. You've been at it a while, so you're familiar. I don't have to tell you. But it doesn't look like Patricia Cortez is on here today. So let's do name number 3. Valerie Vincent. That's a new one. I don't know Valerie, but Valerie, you are our third winner today. Remember, if there's no winner here this week, we'll be back next week. We've got one more broadcast before the fall conference. Like I said, fall conference, August 28th through 30th. If you haven't signed up yet, there's still time. If you need help or anything along those lines, finding a room or getting info, feel free to message me on Facebook or Instagram. If you've got my number, text me or feel free to send me an email. I'll be happy to do what I can to help you. It doesn't look like Valerie Vincent's here today. Oh, Marissa, the chiroplug, says she knows Valerie. That's good. Well, at least Valerie's a real person. Everybody always asks me, are these people real or are you just putting names in there kind of thing? But it doesn't look like Valerie's here. Thank you so much again for being on with us, Dr. Murphy. I know your information is going to be first class, and looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. I'll try to keep you on track, okay?
Thanks, Phil. See you then.
All right, buddy. Take care. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. See you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Till next time.